And it's PLB with MLB News, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be redrafting the 2016 MLB Draft. If you have not watched the video where I redrafted the 2015 MLB Draft, you might want to watch that. And I think by far this is probably the best draft that I'm going to do in this series on this channel. So if you like this kind of content, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I upload a video. And make sure to check out my basketball channel. It's PLB with Basketball News. And my football channel, PLB with Football News. So, the Phillies had the first selection. And they originally selected Mickey Moniak. Which I don't think they're necessarily mad with that pick. And are like, dang, if I could redraft, I could get a better player. But I think Mickey Moniak's going to be a good player. When he does go get into the MLB. He's currently in AA. But I think right here they have to select Gavin Lux, who was originally the 24th selection by the Los Angeles Dodgers, I'm pretty sure. And I think he really fits well with this team. Now, obviously, you could go with a third baseman, but there are not a lot of great third basemen in this draft. And I think this could build a really good infield with Didi Gregorius, Gene Segura, Gavin Lux, and Rhys Hoskins. A good infield. I think that would really be a good infield. Moving on to the second selection where the Reds originally selected Nick Senzel. And I think they're going to take another player here just because of how good the other players are in this draft. And they're going to select A.J. Puck. Now, they make a really good rotation out of this. They do kind of lack with left-handed starting pitching in their rotation. They obviously do have Wade Miley. But I also think they do like a fourth starter in that rotation, and that would be where A.J. Puck was placed, to where they would have a really good rotation in Luis Castillo, Trevor Bauer, Wade Miley, A.J. Puck, and someone else I'm forgetting who. With the third selection, the Atlanta Braves select Bo Bichette, and I really thought they would pick a third baseman right here, but there's not a lot of good third basemen in this draft, and obviously if we went from redrafting scenarios, they would have lost Dansby Swanson in the 2015 draft. And I think Bo Bichette's a better player anyways. I think he's a better player for the future. I think he's better than Dansby Swanson anyways. We move on to the fourth selection where the Rockies select Pete Alonso. And this actually is a great fit for the Rockies. And a first baseman has really been a hole in their lineup for quite a while, and finally they get it filled with Pete Alonso, and they really have a great infield with Ryan McMahon, who's probably the worst player out of all four of them. You've got Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, Ryan McMahon, and Pete Alonso in that infield. I think they definitely are a much better team. We move on to the fifth selection where the Brewers select possibly the best pitcher in this draft in Dakota Hudson. I think he's definitely is the best pitcher in this draft. Obviously, Ian Anderson was also in this draft, who is also really good and a top Braves prospect. But I think Dakota Hudson's the better player. We move on to the sixth selection where the Oakland Athletics select Nick Senzel. And I think Nick Senzel actually fits very well with this team. He could play second base, which they kind of lack a good second baseman right now. They have Tony Kemp there, which is not that great. He's a good utility player, not a good starting second baseman in my opinion. We move on to the seventh selection where the Marlins select Zach Collins, and this actually fits really good because he did spend some time with the White Sox last year, but most of his time was with the Charlotte Knights, their AAA affiliate, and I think he fits well with this Marlins team. He would be a good left-handed bat. Obviously, Jorge Alfaro is already at the catcher position, but I still think he fits very well with this team, and I think he definitely would be the starting catcher. And I think they would definitely select him in a redraft scenario here if the DH happens, and you can put Jorge Alfaro as the DH. Or you could do a Jorge Alfaro at catcher and Zach Collins at DH, or Jorge Alfaro at catcher and Zach Collins at first base, where he spent a little bit of time last year. We move on to the eighth selection where the Padres select Ian Anderson, and I think he fits very well with his team. They already kind of have their ace in Chris Paddock. I think he's a good number 2 for this team, and he's a top Braves prospect right now, like I mentioned earlier in the video. We move on to the Tigers at number 9, where they select Dylan Carlson, who is a top prospect in all of Major League Baseball right now. I think number 1 or number 2 for the Cardinals. I think this would make a okay left side of the infield for the Tigers in Nico Goodrum and Dylan Carlson. With the 10th selection, the White Sox select Alex Kirilloff, and he is a top prospect right now. I'm pretty sure he's in the top 100. I think he's number 2 in the Twins organization. We move on to the number 11th pick, where the Mariners select Nick Lodolo, who is the top prospect for the Cincinnati Reds. And the Mariners get a good pitcher here. He could be a good number 2 behind Nick Gonzalez. We move on to the 12th selection, where the Red Sox select Forrest Whitley. And this helps them with their starting pitching problems a lot. And he could be a good number 4 in this rotation. He wouldn't have to be forced as the number 1, the ace pitcher. Chris Sale, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Nathan Eovaldi are already there, so he would probably be put in the 4th spot. And he's really not Major League ready right now. His ETA is more of 2021. We move on to the 13th selection, where the Tampa Bay Rays select Brian Reynolds. And I think he actually fits very well with this team. And that's just because they lost Tommy Pham in a trade for Hunter Renfroe, where I think Hunter Renfroe will be spending most of his time at DH. And right field will be Austin Meadows. Kevin Kiermaier will stay in center field. And you put Brian Reynolds in left field. And they possibly could have a better team after losing Tommy Pham. With the 14th selection, the Indians select the original first overall pick in Mickey Moniak. And I think he actually fits very well with this team. His ETA is 2021. I think he could be up as early as 2020, obviously, if there is a season. But the Indians do need a center fielder. They need outfield help just in general, but they do need center field help mainly. With the 15th selection, the Minnesota Twins select Matt Manning, who was originally the 8th or 9th overall pick by the Tigers. And Matt Manning actually fits very good with this team. He could be more as of a 5th starter, which I think he would fit very well in that role. Going on to the 16th selection, where the LA Angels select Anthony Kay, who was traded from the Mets to the Blue Jays in the Marcus Stroman trade. And I think he actually fits okay with this team. I think he's probably the best available pitcher. Now, the Angels already have a good lefty in Andrew Heaney. We move on to the 17th selection, where the Astros select a catcher in Will Smith, who is currently on the Dodgers, but I think he does fit very well with this team. I feel like a catcher is definitely a need for this Astros team. Moving on to the 18th selection, where the Yankees select Justin Dunn. I'm pretty sure he's in the Seattle Mariners organization right now. I think he might be in the top 5 prospects for the Mariners. We move on to the 19th selection, where the New York Mets select Carter Kieboom, and I think he fits okay with this team. I'm not a big fan of this selection here, but I think he is the best player available. And he's a top Nationals prospect. He can play some third base, which is something they definitely need. In my opinion, I don't think Jeff McNeil is the right third baseman for them. I think he's a better right fielder. We move on to the 20th selection, where the Dodgers select Brandon Marsh. And I think if they want to trade Jock Peterson and possibly trade Jock Peterson, Brandon Marsh might be the perfect fit in a redraft scenario. And that's just because that can make for a really good outfield. Brandon Marsh is currently the number 2 prospect for the Los Angeles Angels. And it would make an outfield of Mookie Betts, Cody Bellinger, and Brandon Marsh. With the 21st selection, the Blue Jays select Taylor Trammell, who is currently a Padres prospect. He was traded in the Trevor Bauer trade. And I think he fits very well with this Blue Jays team. We move on to the 22nd selection, where the Pirates select Nick Solak. He's currently a Rangers prospect. He will probably be up with them in 2020, obviously, if there is a season. And I think he fits very well with this Pirates team. Brings a lot of utility to the Pirates team, too. He can play second base, third base, some center field, some left field. Moving on to the 23rd selection, where the Cardinals select Kyle Lewis, who is a pitcher. We move on to the 24th selection, where the Padres select Braxton Garrett, who is a left-hander. I'm pretty sure he's been up in the majors for the Marlins a little bit. We move on to the 25th selection, and the Padres have another selection here, and they select Eric Lauer. Moving on to the 26th selection, where the White Sox select Blake Rutherford, who was originally selected by the New York Yankees and is in the White Sox organization right now. I'm pretty sure he's in Single A Advanced or Double A. Moving on to the 27th selection, where the Orioles select Zach Burdi. The 28th selection, the Nationals select Joey Wentz, who is a left-handed pitcher. I think he actually fits very well with this team. He would be a number 5 starter for this team. Moving on to the 29th selection, where the Nationals select Cole Ragans, another left-handed pitcher. But the only other pitcher that's really on this list is the next selection in number 30 in Riley Pint, who has not really had that great of a major league career. Now, I think Riley Pint has more upside than Cole Ragans. Cole Ragans' career has been cut short due to injuries, and Riley Pint has really not been that great in his minor league career. So that's going to be the end of this video. If you like this kind of content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you will get notified whenever I upload. Let's try to get this video to 5 likes. And make sure to check out my basketball channel. It's PLB with Basketball News, and my football channel, PLB with Football News. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with more videos soon.